Hey there guys, today I'll show you how to create an application from scratch using WPF without XAML. So first we're going to go to file and create a new project, WPF Application, and we can name it whatever we want, and then wait for it to be created fully, and after it's done created we can remove these two XAML files, app.xaml and main window.xaml, and we just delete it. So alright, let's do that again. Now we should only have app.config file. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and create a new class, and you can call it whatever you want. Just don't call it main class, because we're gonna have a main method inside and we can't have the same method as the class name. So I'm just gonna call it primary. This is gonna be the entry point class, and I'm just gonna make it public so I can reference this class later on. And then since we need a thread for our UI to run, we're gonna use the default thread, and then we're gonna create our entry point method, which is of course static void main. This is the first method that's gonna be called when we run the application. And then when this method runs, we wanna initialize the app, which is from the WPF framework. This just starts the application, and after it's been initialized or instantiated, we just run the application, and then we need to specify a window, which is going to be the main window, which we're going to create now. So easy peasy. So you need to import using the system.windows namespace to get the application class and the window class. Well, window class is our class, so yeah. And then I was just gonna switch it to public, and then have a constructor and tile it to be whatever you want. And I'm gonna set the width to, I don't know, 720, 710, height 420. Alright, and now when we run it, bam, we got our application. And let's add some stuff to the application. Now you must be wondering, like, how do we create an application? How do we add, layouts and controls? Well, it's actually pretty easy. But first, to make things easier, I want to have some kind of pattern. So I think I'm choosing MVC pattern, which is model view controller pattern, if I'm not mistaken. So first of all, I'm just going to create an interface and call it iView, and then make it public, and then we're just going to have one method in there, which is going to be init layout, which is going to initialize all the layout stuff. I mean, you don't really need this interface, but that's just, in case I forget to do the layout work. So then we're just gonna add that to the import, or well, add the interface to a class, and then we're gonna implement the interface, and then we should have the method here, and for now let's keep it empty. So this is most likely what our window class will look like, and I like to separate multiple views into one window class. So each window can contain multiple views. I believe that's how MVC works. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this view, and then I'm going to create another folder, and I'm going to call it controller. And then inside view, I'm gonna create another folder, which is the main window. So this is all the views on the main window. I'm gonna neatly put it there, and for now I'm just gonna call create a class and just call it let's just call it main view, why not? And then same thing with the controller main, so this will be all the main window controllers are gonna be here. And then I'm just gonna create a class for the main view, so I'm gonna have a main controller class. Alright, so now I'll make sure the view extends from iView, because it's gonna have all the layout stuff on it, not the XAML file. And then constructor, and then we gotta implement the interface, and we gotta initialize the controller, where we're gonna do main controller, and I'm just gonna make it so that it's public. It's gonna be a property controller get private set, so no one outside this class can set this property. And then I'm gonna use the namespace, and then controller, initialize the main controller, and put this, so the controller should have, you know, the reference of the view. I'm pretty sure that's how the MVC pattern works. If not, well, I just do this way. I think it could be MVVM pattern, which is default to WPF, I believe. I'm not exactly sure about that. Alright, so what's the issue here? Oh, okay. I don't really get what the issue is here, but alright, so now on the main controller class, oh, I gotta make it public. Forgot about that. Alright, so now we're gonna have a constructor here, and we're gonna have public reference to view class now, and then private set, so we could get that. And let's import that namespace, and then we can just do main view, then view equals view. Now we have the reference to the view class on the controller. So now let's do some layout work. Before we do the layout work, I want the main window content to be new main view, like that, and then use that. And I want the main view to be a stack panel. Usually works fine. There you go. Now we initialize the layout. So let's have a bunch of buttons. So public void, and here's a cool thing. I could do my own kind of custom buttons which has custom functionality, and I'll show you a bit later how to do the styles in a second. But right now, let's, you know, work on the functionality first. So I'm just gonna call it button option, and then string content. Alright, now we're just gonna do button equals new button, and then button, let's give it a width of actually let's have a max width so that it can shrink down when it's resized down. So like around, I don't know, like 75, and button.height to be 30. Alright, so then yeah, actually let's also create the layout. So private, actually we could make it as a property too, so we could reference it. Public, actually no, never mind, don't worry about that. Alright, so now we're gonna have the click handler on click plus equals new routed event handler, and then we got the lambda expression here, and then the first parameter is the control itself, the second one I believe is the event args, and then what's gonna happen when it's clicked. Well, when it's clicked we want to go to controller class and say on option select or something like that, and then give it an option. Okay, and then finally we just going to get children, actually children dot add, and then we can just say button. Right, so now I'm gonna make sure the alignment for the stack panel is vertical, so I could just do vertical. I'm just gonna do orientation equals vertical alignment. I think it's orientation dot, no, how do you do this? Orientation equals orientation dot vertical. There you go. Okay, so now it's gonna be vertical, and let's give it some margin so it doesn't look that bad. Margin equals new thickness 10 0 10. Okay. Right, actually that's gonna give the layout the margin. I think I would want each of this control to have a margin, so I'm gonna add it in here. So I'm gonna do button dot margin there. There you go. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everything's coming up good. Alright, so now we go to the main controller class and have a public enum. Actually, we'll make it part of the main controller class, so it's only based, the namespace is only based on the main controller to avoid confliction. Okay, so now let's do something like I don't know, test1, test2. So then we need the option select method, and then we add that, and then we just print out the message or something. Yeah, for now I'm just gonna print out a message saying, you know, you clicked option dot toString. I think by default it already calls toString, I'm not sure. Alright, so now we gotta import the button option, and everything should work. Let's start it, and didn't work. And why is that? Let's see. Content. Oh, yeah. So after you set up the constructor, you might want to add that at the end, init layout. I forgot about that. Init layout. There you go. Alright. Now it should work. Oh, let's create some buttons first. Option button option dot test1, test1. Then let's create another button option test2, test2, and we could probably create another button which is like a duplicate of test1 and probably name it a bit differently, just so that we can see how flexible the system is. And then we can start it, and we have forgot one thing. Forgot to set the content of the button to be the content of the string text. So now we see, actually I like to keep everything center, so I'm gonna do the vertical alignment equals center. There you go. This is gonna center everything up. So we got three options: test1, test2, test01. If you look at the output, if I click test1, it says you clicked option test 1, test 2, test 1 again. See how flexible that is? This is why I kind of prefer XAML, because you can dynamically create controls and not have to look at the messy XAML. I don't like XAML. Alright, so now I'll show you how you can skin, your layouts. You can skin your layouts in two different ways. Usually, if you really want to get everything into programming and not have to deal with XAML at all, you could create a class and call it like global style manager or something like that, and then make it a static class, and then have like a void set default window, and have set default button, for example, button, and make sure you import it. And I'm just gonna go to the where is it? Did I close that? Where's the view class for main view? Okay, there you go. You could have all this stuff, and the margin in here, and make sure it's a static method. And then you could just come here and be like, global style manager, set default button, and you kind of got a style for the button. There you go. Here you could probably do, set default button theme, button, make another method, probably make it private, set default button theme, button, and then you get here, and then you could do more thing like change the background, solid color brush colors dot black, and import that. And you could do the foreground as well if you want, solid color brush colors dot white, black and white, and then you got black and white buttons. You do this. Or if you want the style to be XAML base, you could also do this. You could create I'm just gonna, for organization purposes, I'm gonna create a theme folder, and I'm gonna create a resource directory and just call it button style or something like that. And let me check how I did this button style. I'm not good with XAML, if you can't tell, which is why I prefer to do everything in code. But you could just do button, target type button, and do the same thing here. Background black, foreground white. And then you wouldn't need to do this, so I can comment this out. And now you must be thinking, well, how do I add the style? Because you used to be able to add the style in the app.xaml file, and we don't have that here. Well, we can go to the primary here, class here, and just go app.resources. Where is it? Merge directories. Add, and now you do new resource directory, and then in here, what's it? Source, I believe, equals new URI. I think so. And then you put the location, which is theme/button style.xaml, and then URI kind.relative, I'm pretty sure. Yep. And then yeah, so for each theme you can just copy paste it and just add it like this. So now if we start, as you can see, I comment this out, the button should be black and white. So that's how you would do the global theme. And yeah, that's basically it. You could even, you know, have a layout for this. So you could have, like, you know, have a horizontal layout right like this, like, you know, stack panel, H panel, because new stack panel, H panel dot orientation equals orientation dot horizontal, and then you can, you know, probably add, you know, a bunch of labels or buttons horizontally. So I'm just gonna do it like this. You can obviously put it neatly in a method like this, but I'm just giving you an example. And then, you know, H panel dot add, children dot add, button. I'm pretty sure there's a way to add all, like add range or something. Children's. Okay, you have to do it one by one. I guess you could do that in Java, not in here. Let's copy paste it and have another one. 2 like this, 2 1 2. Alright, and then you could just go ahead and say, well, I want to add children H panel. Alright, so now if you play this, alright, actually let's center this. So H panel dot horizontal alignment center. So there you go. So 2 little cute buttons right here, H1, H2. Then we got all these buttons, so many buttons. So yeah, that's how you would, you know, create a WPF application without using XAML. Or you could just use XAML for style if you want, or you could not use that either and just do it like this. You know, you could do things like triggers and things like, you know, animation. I believe it's called storyboards, all in code, and it's all fine. But if you really want to do everything I don't know how to say that word. Like if you want to do everything in the program, like by programming, then I suggest you use JavaFX instead of, you know, WPF, because WPF is created, you know, with the idea of XAML, a strong idea of XAML, that is. So yeah, and in my opinion it's a bit overly engineered, the WPF framework, especially when it comes to XAML. Like, but you can, it's possible to create an entire application without using any XAML. And yeah, that'll be it. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.